Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, once again. Good afternoon, everyone, once again. I welcome you to this program today. This is the NSBMB Southwest Zone in collaboration with the International Union of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. We'll be having a public lecture today. Without wasting much of our time, I'll want to hand over to the moderator for today, Mr. Bayo Adeoye, even as we start the program with the national anthem. We're going to be playing that national anthem from the screen.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, everyone. You are welcome to this historical event. I am Adeoye Bayo Olufunso, and I'll be answering this afternoon's program. It's such a wonderful privilege to have everybody here present this afternoon, and it's just a very great privilege to gather together to be able to hear from the number one biochemist in the entire world. And ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to be here today with the great minds who are here in Subscribes. We want to quickly introduce the personalities that we have on board. Everybody from different universities, you are highly welcome.
Yeah, I can record it.
It's recorded.
Your presence.
How can I record it now?
And without wasting much of our time, I'd like to quickly introduce to this audience the national executive members of the Nigerian Society of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. These are the newly executive members to anchor the affairs of the organization between 2023 and the year 2025. So within the next 2 years, we have Professor Matthew Wegu as our national president. Professor Wegu, you're welcome, sir. Good afternoon, sir. You are highly welcome, sir. Is Professor Wegu online? Professor. Okay, he's going to join. He's going to join us. We have the national vice president of NSBMB, Nigerian Society of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. The national president is Professor Modhi Milhala. Prof, you are welcome, sir. Good afternoon, sir. All right, let me quickly run through the other members of the NEC that we have who are going to be joining us this afternoon. We have Professor Abdullah Abubakar, Abdulkadir Abubakar. He happens to be the National Secretary of Nigerian Society of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. Prof, you are welcome. If you are online and you can hear us, you are highly welcome, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Then we have the assistants to the National Secretary General. We have Dr. Aminu Usman. Dr. Aminu Usman, you are welcome. Good afternoon, sir. The National Treasurer for NEC is Professor Angela Nena Ukwanikwaja. You are highly welcome, ma'am. Good afternoon. Then we have the National Financial Secretary, Professor Friday Hubo. Professor Hubo, you are highly welcome. It's a privilege to have you here with us. Dr. Uche Samuel Hindidi happens to be the National Public Relations Officer and is going to be holding that important post for the next 2 years. Dr. Uche Samuel Hindidi, you are welcome. If you are here online with us and you can hear us, you are highly welcome. We are happy to have you here. We have the National Internal Auditor, Dr. Gregory Edige Flores. Doctor, you are welcome. Good afternoon. It's a privilege to have you here with us, sir. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we also have Dr. Andrew Honum. Dr. Andrew Honum happens to be the National Coordinator for the Northwest Zone of the Nigerian Society of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. Dr. Andrew Honum, you are welcome. If you are online, you can hear us. It's a privilege to have you here with us, and we are happy that you are part of this historical event. You're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you my home coordinator, and of course, is the convener for this historical event. He is the one gathering everybody together by the grace of God, and that is Dr. Stanley Iharo Kodua. Dr. Kodua is the national coordinator for Southwest Zone for NSBMB. Dr. Kodua, you are welcome. You are highly welcome. It's a privilege to have you, and thank you for putting this together, sir. You will still hear him when it is time. He's going to speak to us. I have Dr. Yahya Tijani. Dr. Yahya Tijani happens to be the national coordinator of Northeast Zone. And we also have Professor Mrs. Oyegema Okerenta. That is the national coordinator for South Zone of NSBMB. The national coordinator for Southeast Zone, you are highly welcome. Then we have Professor Hahe Humal. Professor Hahe Humal, ladies and gentlemen, please just help me to welcome him and appreciate him. Professor Humal happens to be the editor-in-chief, the Nigerian Journal of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. When you submit a publication to that journal, that highly esteemed journal, it goes to his table first. So as the editor-in-chief, we are welcoming you, Prof. If you are online with us and you can hear us, it's such a rare privilege, a wonderful privilege to have you be part of this event. Thank you so much. I would like to quickly introduce the members of the licensing officers. We have members of the licensing officers also with us this afternoon. You are welcome, everybody. We have the executives of the student body of NSBMB in Nigeria. We have the student body. Adetito Ayomide Harris happens to be the general secretary of that executive body. Adetito, you are welcome if you are online and you are with us. We recognize your presence. Adebayo Ariola Morenikeji happens to be the Southwest Zonal President from Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. Morenikeji, you are welcome. We have the Vice Coordinator all the way from Lautech. Yusuf Miriam Bolanle, you are highly welcome. We are with the Usman, happens to be Usman Holabi Kabir. Kabir, you are welcome. Adeosun Godwin happens to be the Financial Secretary. Godwin, it's a privilege to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Opeyemi Rashida is the Assistant General Secretary. Arowolo Bukola Deborah happens to be the Provost. And then we have the Sports Director to the Father Solo at Milenyi. You are welcome. And then the last but not the least, the Social Director happens to be the our very wonderful sister, Adeleke Precious. Precious, you're welcome. We appreciate the student body of NSBMB joining us on this historical event. You are highly welcome. It's a privilege to have you to be part of this occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, at this particular time, I want to introduce myself. Of course, as the moderator, I am Adeoye Biologists from Babcock University, Nigeria. And right now, we'll move quickly to have as a very own person who is going to who's going to read the citation of our presenter for today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll hand over the platform now to Mrs. Hen Hegbule, Mrs. Mercy Hegbule, who is going to take over and read the citation of our presenter, our guest speaker for today. Mrs. Hegbule, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adioye. Can you all hear me?
Yes. We can hear you. Yes, please go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear
I'll be reading the citation of our presenter, the profile of Professor Dario Alessi, OBE, FRS, FRSC, Med Science. Professor Dario was born in Strasbourg, brought up in Brussels, and earned his bachelor's and PhD degrees from the University of Birmingham, UK. He carried out postdoctoral work at the MRC Protein Phosphorylation Unit at the University of Dundee and has been a group leader in this unit since 1997 and its director since 2012. Professor Dario's research focuses on unraveling the roles of biological pathways controlling cellular communication that become disrupted in disease. He has contributed to understanding pathways involved in diabetes, cancer, and blood pressure. In 2004, Dario concentrated his research to understand how mutations that disrupt a communication network termed the LRRK2 pathway cause Parkinson's. His research was motivated by the lack of treatments that slow the progression of Parkinson's. Dario is passionate about mentorship, open science, sharing, working with industry and clinicians, as well as fostering a collaborative culture. He is also motivated to promote biochemistry and molecular biology worldwide, with a particular focus in Africa, where there is a lot of untapped potentials. He currently serves as the president-elect of the International Union of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology, also known as the IUBMB, that unites biochemists and molecular biologists in 75 countries and regions, including Nigeria. Dario has received several awards for his research. Most recently is the Order of the British Empire on the King's Birthday Honours List 2023. Dario has publications with over 100,000 citations and H-index of 151. The next voice you'll be hearing on this August occasion is the voice of our guest lecturer, Professor Dario Alessi. Let's make him welcome.
Okay, thank you so much, Mercy, for such a kind and well-delivered introduction. So I should share my screen. Maybe if you can stop sharing your screen, and then I can share my screen if that's possible. And I just should hopefully be able to start. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Well, this is, you know, a really tremendous honor and pleasure to, you know, to be able to deliver you this lecture, to give you my view on what the importance of, you know, biochemistry and molecular biology is, you know, in the current times. You know, I think this is the most important, you know, employments and areas of work that you can possibly do. It's central to understanding health, developing treatments against disease, improving agriculture that will make sure everyone is well nourished, and it's absolutely critical for a vibrant and active economy. It can create so many jobs and well-being from that. So so I'll give you my views of the in the next half hour or so. I would also I'd like to start by apologizing to tell you that I would, unfortunately, I have never been to Nigeria before. I mean, it's a dream of mine to maybe visit your country one day. So I acknowledge that some of the things I say may not be you may not agree with, and it's very important that I only talk for half an hour, so we have plenty of time for discussion. So please don't be shy for thinking of questions and discussing the points that I've raised, and educating me as well about what the issues are for Nigeria. So myself, I work in a very small town called Dundee. It's in the north of the UK, in a place called Scotland. So in here, there's only about 140,000 people working in Dundee, but we have a very vibrant life sciences sector. So I think about 10% of the population of Dundee is involved or indirectly involved with life sciences research, and we have a building here that employs nearly 1,000 people, and the unit that I work in is called the MRC protein phosphorylation and ubiquitination unit. It occupies maybe 15% of the space in this building, and there's a lot of other research groups within this building. So I'm told by my Nigerian colleagues that they get everywhere, and indeed, just in our units, we're very fortunate to have 3 or 4 Nigerian researchers who are pictured here, and Ife, Wale, Rotimi, and John was a IUBMB Bob Beelan visitor recently, and he's gone back to continue his PhD in Brazil at the moment. But it was a pleasure hosting him in my lab, and I can actually see he's on the call today. And so I'm actually told we have actually 10 Nigerian researchers in our building, and I'm told there's up to nearly 500 Nigerian researchers living around Dundee. So so this is there's a lot of potential here for training and further education, and we obviously would be very welcome to receive more applications. So I want to start with the acknowledgements. So before preparing for this lecture, I took a lot of advice from my colleagues from Nigeria who work here. I've discussed a lot with them about about what I should talk to you about today. And I would also like to thank Dr. Usun Toki from Emory University and Dr. Okudawa from the Babcock University for discussing as well and providing ideas for this lecture, and I'm very grateful for that discussion. So as I said before, I'm really excited about biochemistry and molecular biology. For me, biochemistry and molecular biology is really the same thing. Biochemistry, molecular biology is just the biochemistry really of nucleic acids and gene expression and things, but it's all really biochemistry. So having the two names, I think in the future probably isn't necessary. It's all the understanding the chemical processes, the molecular detail of all biological reactions, and it's essential for understanding health and disease and life, essentially. And as I said before, it's really crucial for medicine, nutrition, and agriculture. And obviously in medicine, we use this subject to investigate the causes of disease and improve. And from that understanding, we can develop improved diagnosis and better treatments and cures for the disease. And nutrition is extremely important, as well. And developing crops that are more nutritious and can grow in more difficult and environments, and also are resistant to plagues and other, viruses and bacteria is also incredibly important. And, and then I think also this subject is very good for producing enzymes, tools for research, developing industrial processes to make medicines and detergents and obviously for now, even in the future, for reducing CO2 levels, in the atmosphere. And, this is obviously very important for biotechnology and industry and ultimately the economy. And, so it never ceases to amaze me how in the last 30 or 40 years of my life, how the treatments of diseases and our understanding of diseases has evolved so remarkably, and how biochemistry and molecular biology is really critical. It's critical for first understanding the biology and how it works and how it's regulated, and then from that you can understand the the causes of the disease, what's causing the disease, and how to then better treat it. And by working with companies and clinicians, nowadays you can quite rapidly develop improved diagnosis and treatment. And we really saw this, with the COVID that you all know, within a year of this being identified, we already had vaccines and people were already benefiting from it. And this has really enabled the world to get over COVID. And biochemistry expertise and molecular biology was absolutely critical in all aspects of this work. And also, I'm sure very important for Africa and Nigeria are the malaria vaccines that there's still some ways to go, but I understand that some of the current vaccines are offering significant protection for children, and obviously the treatments and the prevention for HIV as well, that come from biochemical studies, have really revolutionized the management of this very serious condition. And obviously the polio vaccines, I know that there's still lots to do for Lassa fever, but from my reading of this, it's the research in this field is progressing very rapidly. And for cancer, we actually have really good, better treatments for cancer. I actually met a lady once a few years ago who had a gastrointestinal stromal tumor, and she was diagnosed in 2002 with this tumor, and she was actually in a hospice. They didn't expect her to live for very long, but just at that time the drug Gleevec had been identified, and she was one of the first people in the UK to receive this drug, and it basically completely dissolved. This is a picture here of a person with a tumor, and the tumor dissolves with this Gleevec. That's actually a tyrosine kinase inhibitor that targets the Abelson tyrosine kinase. It's actually miraculous, and then this lady, she's still alive 20 years later after receiving this drug. And then there's simple drugs but very important, like statins to lower cholesterol levels, blood pressure lowering drugs that benefit huge percentage of the population. And there's also new drugs now, for example, these GLP-1 receptor agonists that are used for the treatment of diabetes and obesity. These drugs, and then they will also probably protect against heart disease. And these drugs are set to revolutionize the treatment of these conditions. And for example, one of the drug companies that develops this treatment is called Novo Nordisk in Denmark. And it's now, in the last 2 or 3 years, the value of this company has gone up nearly tenfold, and it's become the most valuable company in Europe. So it's remarkable how one type of medicines can have such a profound, effect. And if anyone said 5 or 6 years ago that these drugs were going to, revolutionize the treatment of these conditions and make Novo Nordisk the most valuable drug company in the world, more than Pfizer and Roche and Novartis, people wouldn't have believed it. So, and then also for kidney disease, now the chronic kidney disease that I'm sure affects many people in Nigeria as well. This can be amazingly better managed with these SGL2 inhibitors that were also developed by undertaking very elegant biochemistry and molecular studies. So in terms of agriculture, this is, obviously I'm not an expert in agriculture, but from a generalist point of view, I think I know agriculture is responsible for 30 to 40% of the economy in Nigeria, I read, and it's obviously a huge sector. And by being able to improve the nutritional value of your crops by re-engineering them to express vitamins that might be lacking in the endogenous varieties and making them resistant to pests and diseases, and being able to grow in difficult environments is going to really has the potential to boost the Nigerian economy enormously, and dramatically improve your livelihoods. And I'm also not an expert in this, but I'm told in Nigeria there's a very flourishing area of traditional medicine that are used to treat many ailments, and it seems that many of the treatments that are used actually have great benefit and active ingredients in these treatments. So I think what's needed here is to do some really rigorous science now to try and isolate the active ingredients, to characterize them, maybe to make them available in a more scientific and systematic way to better treat diseases. And potentially there could be some wonder cures locked away in these ingredients that, if you could identify and characterize them, maybe this could be, the companies that does this in Nigeria could be the new Novo Nordisk, of Africa, and generate, huge wealth and employment, through this. So, and then obviously the technologies that have come up in the last decade or so, I would just say, are just unbelievable. I mean, I think all the 5 technologies I'm showing here, if you'd showed me when I was doing my PhD in 1988, I would never have dreamt that any of these technologies would have been possible, in my lifetime. So the CRISPR gene editing, where you can introduce any mutation you want into any cell, and even drugs are now being developed, based on this to change mutations that cause disease in humans. The mass spectrometry we have now is just incredible, where you can analyze any protein modification, any lipid, any metabolite, even in a very small number of cells, micrograms of material. And I think what we can do now in 1 minute in the lab, I couldn't do in 3 years of my PhD. You get so much information with this mass spectrometry. The DNA sequencing is obviously revolutionizing our analysis of human diseases, and also for crops, and the CRISPR genome editing is also very valuable for crop engineering. And then the structural biology side of thing, and cryo-electron microscopy, where you can now get down to the molecular resolution of very large and complicated molecules, and actually quite a rapid amount of time is just extraordinary. And then the thing that's most extraordinary out of all of these technologies is the 5th thing I've shown here, is AlphaFold, in which this can predict the structure of any protein, any plant, human protein. It can predict its structure almost extremely accurately. It can predict how it interacts with other proteins, and in hours of work, you can gain information that would take you years of work only a few years ago. And this is all through artificial intelligence. And presumably artificial intelligence is going to keep on impacting on biochemistry and molecular biology, and in ways I don't think we can even imagine. So I can't think of where we'll be in 10 years' time. I think the advances will keep on accelerating, and with each advances comes lots of opportunities that that can be seized, to help science and also economic development. So I think I know Nigeria is one of the most vibrant economies in Africa, maybe after South Africa, and I think, as we mentioned before, I think there's so much untapped potential. You have a population of 250 million people. Education is really prized, I know, in Nigeria, and you have fantastic resources, amazing weather with lots of rain and water. So if you can harness all of this and keep on developing your biochemistry and molecular biology, I think you can have enormous social impact. And I hope your government is able to realize this and invest more into these areas. And I'm told with my discussions with my Nigerian colleagues that in Nigeria you import most of the medicines and enzymes used for and other kits used for diagnostic techs and industry, and obviously this importing is very expensive. So from an outsider's point of view, is that hopefully Nigeria can start developing some of these tools themselves, and and become the hub for Africa to export these to other countries, and you can add a lot of value to your materials by making them yourself. So and then the other thing I think from my discussions became clear was that the projects that you work on should be very geared to solving important problems that are relevant to Nigeria, to induce maximal impact. So I think you have the talent, education, you have the materials to do extremely well in this business, and I think you should be very optimistic, hopefully for the future. So then I've got here a few things that I thought are really important for Nigerian scientists. They're important for scientists all over the world, but it's really important for you to be able to for all scientists to do as much as they can to boost your visibility. So people overseas and also in Nigeria can can see who you are, follow your research, talk to you, and invite you to meetings, maybe ask you to be co-applicants or applicants in grant applications. And so I think a lot of this is extremely obvious, but you can create your own your own websites. I was actually looking at some websites from Nigerian researchers, and I thought they weren't as slick as one would like, and it takes a lot of time and work, but I think this is really important, and in this you can showcase who you are and what you're working on and why it's important, and what your papers are, and apparently you can use search engine optimization to make sure that people looking in these subject areas can identify your research pages more easily. I think it's really important that everyone uses Google Scholar and ORCID, which are systems that people use all over the world now to identify researchers and work out what they're working on and assess the quality of their research. So obviously I would also recommend that, especially for younger scientists, to use social media such as Twitter. And I'm told LinkedIn is very valuable for for pharmaceutical and business interactions. So you should be using this this site as well. And if possible, I think it's really important to make sure you're publishing your research in reputable journals. And I know it costs money to publish in open access. I'm going to talk about this in my next slide, but I think publishing in open access is really important, because I think nowadays, if everyone publishes open access, it means that everybody can access in the world all of the information that's needed, for their research, and it will make your publications much more visible than if they're locked in a journal that most people can't access. And then I think people can do a lot of things to make themselves more visible. Like, you can volunteer to write reviews and commentaries. You can review papers in journals, and you can also team up with outside co-authors to write reviews and commentaries. I think it's important to, even after you published your work, to deposit all your data in appropriate data repositories, and so people can use your data and your reagents as well in such depositories, so people can reach out to you to use your reagents. And I think as much as possible, it's important to look for opportunities to collaborate and network with others, in your field, both nationally and internationally, and try to attend conferences virtually or in person if that's possible. Ask questions, engage with as much as possible with ongoing activities around the world. And then internally, internationally, you can volunteer to help your universities, government agencies, charities, other organizations that are involved in the life science industry. And you can also increase your visibility, and all of these activities could lead to opportunities that could change the trajectory of your research and visibility, dramatically. So yeah, for me, when people ask me what's the key thing you need to do to be successful, I always say, try to seize the opportunities, no matter how small they are, that come your way. Because if you can seize that small opportunity, that can can really transform your research, the direction of your work. And so this is really, really important. So I'm going to give you two examples of opportunities that might be useful. Firstly, as my role in the IUBMB, I'm going to tell you about fellowships that you can apply for from the IUBMB. So all of you who are members of the Nigerian Biochemical Society and Molecular Biology Society are automatically members of the IUBMB, and then there's 75 other countries members of this organization. And so the FASBMB is your African organization, and you're more members of this worldwide organization through the IUBMB. And yeah, the thing we do, our raison d'etre is to award fellowships, essentially. So and we have we have 9 different types of fellowship. Maybe you feel free to take a photograph of this slide, and then you can go to the IUBMB website to learn more about these different fellowships. So the IUBMB Africa Initiative and the ProBio Africa fellowships are designed to to offer people at the PhD and postdoctoral research level the opportunity to travel to external labs and obtain training for, I think, up to 6 months. And And the ProBio one is for fellows to go to Europe. I think the IUBMB Africa, they can go anywhere in the world. And then this ProBio African fellowship is quite a new and this is to work in the European country at the moment, but we want to raise more money to make it available for a wider range of countries. And so this was our first round this year, and I'm really delighted to say that we had 5 successful fellows, and it's great to see that 3 of the 5, came from Nigeria. So it shows how strong your research is. And then one of the most prestigious fellowships is this Wood Whelan Research Fellowship that also gives you opportunities to undertake research in foreign countries. And then some of these fellowships provide travel money to attend conferences, so like the ProLab and the IUBM Travel, and also this Millipore Sigma Enable fellowships. These provide money to travel to various international conferences where you can present your work and very importantly network with other researchers, maybe set up collaborations and increase your visibility. And then this IUBMB Tang Education Fellowship, this is for people involved in education. So you can raise money, so you can maybe I think travel and develop your education skills, and then come back to Nigeria, with enhanced knowledge from this. And then if any of you, I don't think this is the case for Nigeria, but we started a new fellowship mainly because of the Ukrainian crisis. But if anyone comes or knows anybody who's been displaced for any particular reason, and they're facing a sort of an emergency situation, any scientist who's been displaced due to war or other natural disaster or something, we have funds as well to provide support. So you should look at that one as well. So and then this is very important. I think this is for any postdoctoral fellows or PhD students in the audience. We also have this IUBMB trainee initiative. So this is arranged by the trainees themselves all over the world. Then they between them they organize a group and they have meetings, and I think they organize themes that are decided by each area of the world. I think every month has a theme for a meeting, and the members of this initiative get together and debate and talk, and they meet each other, and it's a fantastic way to meet researchers from other countries in the world, and and be able to talk to them and learn more about their research. So and I think some of these initiatives we also invite to our annual meetings or our various meetings in our 3-year cycles. So it's also another way to be invited to one of these meetings. And I just wanted to say that we were very sad. So one of the most active members of this group was Tendenda Murigo, and unfortunately we learned recently that she passed away because of a car accident, and this is very tragic. So we're actually raising money now for developing a scholarship fund to enable 1 or 2 African citizens to attend university after this very sad event. And so we tend to make our money through through the publications. So these are the IUBMB publications here, and I advise you to consider submitting your work to these journals, where we're very eager to receive papers from Nigeria, and the profits the journal makes, the money goes back into supporting the fellowships. So that's how we make our funding for the fellowships. So I would encourage you to, if possible, to consider supporting these journals. And then, this is our social media for the IUBMB. You can keep up with what's going on through these social media links. And then the other, I'll be briefer now because I know my time is finishing now. My own research involves Parkinson's disease research. And there's this new funding organization called the Aligning Scientists Across Parkinson's Disease. And this organization has received a donation of $1 billion, billion, not million, dollars to spend on Parkinson's disease over the next 5 or so years. And so that they're really galvanizing research all over the world on Parkinson's disease. And one of the things they're really keen on doing is to develop a worldwide network to study Parkinson's disease. Because at the moment it's mainly being studied in America and Europe and maybe Asia, but there's very little work being done on Parkinson's disease and the genetics of Parkinson's disease in Africa. So what this organization is doing is obviously reaching out to researchers all over the place, but they're very keen for the research to be done in the countries where the patients come from, and done by the scientists working in this country. So the scientists get funding to do the research. The scientists can travel to Europe or the US to get the training they need, and they travel back to their home country to do the work and lead on the publications from this research. So this is a wonderful way to build capacity in all countries in the world. And recently a very important paper was published from the work done in Nigeria in this collaboration. This is the paper, and what they found is they found a new risk variant for Parkinson's disease in the gene called GBA1 that appears to be specific to Africa and not found in European populations. And this paper shows that half of all Nigerian patients with Parkinson's disease, carry this mutation. So it's this is just the first paper from this research, but the similar efforts are likely to be happening in other areas of agriculture and human disease all over the world. I think scientists really want to reach out to Africa and involve you with their research. So I think there's tremendous opportunities for you to participate in this, and also obviously other equivalent efforts that are going on in other disease areas. So I mentioned briefly before, I think publishing your work open access in our units, in our lab, and many in Europe and America. We publish all our papers in open access journals, so everyone in the world can read them. And if everybody does that, then universities won't need to spend money on libraries and things. But the other trick I've always used, because I come from a small university, Dundee, and we also don't have many library subscriptions for journals. So, if I can't read a paper I need to read, I always just email the first author. And virtually every single time you get the paper, so it's another way of getting access to the literature that you need to drive your research. And then what we do as well, and I think more and more people are starting to do this, we put all our cDNA clones, proteins, antibodies on a reagent repository. So other researchers in the world can just type in the name of the reagent they're looking for in the search box, type search, and they can find the reagents, and they can click a button and request these reagents for their research. And this is also another important way to try and accelerate your research. So I think this is one of my last slides now. So one thing I was told in my discussions that worried me a little bit was that it's apparently, and I'm quoting here, so this may not be completely right. I don't know. This is what I was told. It's apparently increasingly difficult to find employment as a biochemist outside of academia in Nigeria. I mean, if this is true, this is very, very serious. I mean, biochemists, molecular biologists, they can do everything. They can work in disease and agriculture. They can understand. They can work in companies and in hospitals and research labs. They can also teach as well. But the teaching is just a small aspect of the. A biochemist should be out there exploiting their talent to to be doing important research and understanding biology and disease and boosting the country's economy. So I think there's huge opportunities. I believe, and I'm also told that so some in Nigeria universities, people are overburdening with it. Well, I've got crippling workload of teaching and administrative duties, so they have no time for research and mentorship. But this is also a major problem. Researchers need a lot of time to think and do research, and you should only be doing teaching and administrative duties a small percentage of your time. And then I think it's critical, to look for your strengths in any place. There's some strengths, and you need to find those strengths and try and get people to work together, and you get synergy between the groups. So it's not just out of a synergy, and you can develop a team of people who really work well together to do spectacular work. And then someone else told me that some of the teaching currently taking place in Nigeria may not be up to date with with current knowledge. So that's extremely important, to make sure your teaching and training is completely up to date. So I think I've said all of this, and I think all of this work is really important because it help you develop an emergency preparedness for future pandemics as well. And if you do this well, you can have all the protocols and equipments in place, and these can be developed in Nigeria rather than overseas. So and then just lastly, I think funding is really important. You need good funding for research, training, equipment, travel to international conferences. You should try and boost that as much as possible. But it's a good investment. I think for every dollar or pound that's invested in research, I'm sure over time you'll get 10 back. So it's a very good way to for a government to invest its its hard-earned research income. And I hope I've talked okay, and and I'm really excited to take any questions that you might have. And don't be shy to ask questions. It's really important, or give your comments as well. It doesn't have to be a question. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Alesi, for this timely presentation of this lecture. We really do appreciate. At this point, we need to take questions and comments, observations from the audience. Please, if you have questions, and I hope you can all hear me clearly, loud and clear, kindly just indicate with your raise of your virtual hand so that we give you the opportunity to ask the question, so that our worldwide presidents have an answer for us. Most importantly, there are some aspects he has already raised some questions which are actually peculiar to us, especially with the difficulties we observe here in Nigeria, where biochemists are finding it difficult to find a job opportunity outside the academia. It's actually very, very challenging, and most of the efforts have been tried to put in place to set up enabling acts has really been challenging. So questions, the floor is open for questions or comments for those that may want to ask questions. Please kindly indicate.
Don't be shy, please. I'm really pleased to hear a question from anybody. There's no such thing as a bad question or comment.
Good afternoon, the moderator and the guest speaker.
Yes, Amadou Salau, please go ahead and ask a question.
Yes, I am Dr. Amadou Salau from Federal University of Health Sciences, Laorongo, Department of Biochemistry. I want to quickly speak on the last slide the professor just discussed now. The issue of our graduates not being able to secure employment opportunities. It's a really serious issue that I want the IUBMB to look into it. Fortunately, he is the president-elect of the IUBMB now. I would like him to work in tandem with the NSBMB so that the government can be pushed to do something favorable for biochemists. Or else biochemistry will go into extinction. Gradually, biochemistry is becoming, biochemists are becoming endangered species. I mean, people are not interested in biochemistry again because they are looking at the employment opportunities at graduation. Even at the time of IT, I mean industrial training, our students are not even allowed to even handle some equipment in some laboratories. The clinical laboratories, the medical lab scientists will say, no, it is their area. You go to the industry. I personally visited a student that was doing his training in a particular company, NASCO, in Jos. He was pushed out of the food laboratory. They said because he's not a food technologist. They now said they should go to the household products where they are doing detergents and all this. Of course, it can be relevant there too. But I feel there's nothing wrong in him also being trained and also contributing to the food aspect of the company. So they said the head of that unit said because he's not a food technologist, so he will not be able to. He will not be allowed to train in his laboratory. So he is now pushed to where they are doing soap and detergents. Okay. So I think I expect the IUBMB to collaborate with the NSBMB to push the government, because the NSBMB has been trying to push the government, but the legislative blockade, let me just put it that way, is what we are having issue there. But if an international organization should come in, liaise with the executive, I think from there they can push the executive too, so that the legislature, so that this thing can be repackaged. Biochemistry is far more interesting than the back seats to which you have been pushed to. We are just seeing like, maybe, I don't know how I want to look at it. They are pushed out to the back seat such that the clinicians think we are not relevant. Even in teaching the medical students, they think we are not relevant in teaching, in training health personnel. The pharmacists, we were in the industries for industrial training, or even they will say, no, we are not the pharmacists, we are not relevant here. As a biochemist, somebody will say, yeah, because you are not an industrial chemist, you are not relevant in this laboratory. And as a biochemist, we are relevant in all these industries. So I want to mention again that the IUBMB should please collaborate with the NSBMB to push the executive and legislator in Nigeria to see that biochemists take our place of pride as researchers in Nigeria. That goes beyond just teaching. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well,
all right, thank you very much, Dr. Salau Amadou. Your point is very noted. The professor will respond to that. Before I give the microphone to the professor to respond to that, let me pick one more question. The person of Rutimin,
can I just say that for the last speaker, I couldn't agree more with what you say. I mean, it makes no sense. Biochemistry, molecular biology, it's the heart of understanding everything. You should be prized and able to work in any area. It's the foundations of all understanding. I mean, you do biochemistry first, and then you maybe specialize to pharmacology and other areas afterwards. But it can't be just that you can't be allowed to take employment in the food industry and other industries. It just makes absolutely no sense. And I'll be delighted to be personally involved in these discussions and help you in any way I can.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope the National Executive Council, we are taking note of that, so that when they are pushing up the next bill to the legislative, we have to involve the international body, just like the president has already promised us. And I'm sure, okay, this message is being recorded so that we can always use it for future reference. At this point, let me take the comments or questions from Rotimi Fasimoye. Please, you can unmute and ask a question, please. Make it snappy.
Hi, can you hear me? Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, you can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead.
And thank you, Dario, for the presentation. It really touched on a lot of things. And probably my own contribution, and probably it might sound as a question at the end of the day, it's how to help people with visibility. And I'm going to speak on this based on my own perspective. I think one way we can also work on visibility is trying to collaborate with researchers outside our shores. And when I mean collaboration, it doesn't have to be we going there to go and do the research, but collaboration could come in form of where you do some part of the work in Nigeria and you collaborate with somebody outside of Nigeria to do another part of it. And this kind of adds quality to the type of work you are doing, and it fosters this collaboration. And to talk from my own point of perspective, which I believe a lot of things has been happening in Nigeria, is that there was a time when I started working on this Parkinson's disease thing, and I was going to start talking to people from Nigeria that are also working on it. Maybe there's a way we can collaborate and look at variant of LAC2 proteins or kinase that is central to Nigeria that has been implicated in Parkinsonism. And I remember sending a lot of emails to a lot of people. And up to now, I never got any information back. And maybe one or two people that eventually contacted me were asking me about how they can move over here to kind of come and do their work here. And sometimes people that are offering these may not have the budget to actually bring researchers to their shore, to their lab to come and do this. So one way of doing this better would have been if we can be open to actually doing this collaborative work. And maybe once there's a particular paper or something significant comes out of it, then we can start opening it up for other things. I don't know, maybe you understand my point. So we should make it a point of contact or our duty to always open up this issue of collaboration. And this collaboration shouldn't be a physical one, but it could be a way whereby we do some part in Nigeria and we send the other part to other places to do their part. And then this can make a good
that's an example of seizing the opportunity, Rotimi. There's an opportunity there to collaborate. Yeah. And start small. You don't start necessarily big, and build that trust, and then big things could come. It could be training opportunities. I think we're also very keen, not just to take we want to train the most talented Nigerians, but ideally we want them all to go back to Africa, to Nigeria afterwards, to make use of the skills that they've learned here. And I think that's also very important.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Rotimi. At this point, we need to give the microphone to Mr. Fitz Ogbonayam Chidokube. Mr. Fitz Ogbonayam, I hope you can hear me. Please, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you so much. Delighted to be part of today's presentation. I have a question. I would like to know the role that the International Union is playing on young career scientists, especially in developing countries, in terms of doing cutting-edge research. I would like to know some of the things that have been done, or some of the possible things that could be done, especially people when I registered as a member of the national board, they were told to be an affiliation of the international, and most times we don't see one automatically transiting into the international community. So I would like to know, there's a dichotomy between that, how, if there are things that have been done, how it has been breached, so that we can actually enjoy the benefit of the international community. Thank you, sir.
Yes, so I think the IUBMB does, I discussed all the fellowship schemes that we offer, and that's one way that we can contribute to improve training and opportunities. We organize conferences in all that we enable people to go to who apply, and then we also provide training for educators. And I think for this trainee initiative that I mentioned, this is all done virtually, and any student, any postdoc working in Nigeria who are a young researcher can participate in this trainee initiative. as well, and we help with this as well. But if there's more things we can do, like to help with your issue with biochemists employment in Nigeria, and we can help with that, we're delighted to do that. And I think we need to talk more and engage, and if there's more things we can do and we should do, we can do our best to to help.
Yeah, Dario. Dario, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Sorry, Mr. Moderator. Another thing that when I was in Nigeria.
Can we know you? Can you introduce yourself, please? Let's know you for documentation purposes.
Okay, my name is Wale Raimi. Hello.
Yes, hello, Wale. Yes,
yeah. So Dario, so when I was in Nigeria, one of the things I enjoyed from IUBMB was that I was doing my PhD then before I abandoned and started again when I came here. So one of the things I enjoyed then was that IUBMB can help students doing their PhD in Nigeria to have access to reagents. So they can, ask them to make a list of all the reagents they want, and they can get it for them and send it to them in their country of abroad. So that is something IUBMB can do as well.
Okay, we can see what we can do. Obviously, that's that's always. I don't know. We have the resources and the manpower to do all of that, but we can help in any way we can. Obviously, that's a big problem, getting reagents to Nigeria, and yes, that's a big problem. I'm sure it is. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. We need to give the microphone to Adekemi. Adekemi, please go ahead and ask a question. You may need to unmute your device so that we can hear you.
Yes. Thank you so much for Prof for the beautiful presentation. And I've learned a lot of things from this presentation. And I thank you, Doctor, for organizing the program. My question has been typed out here that how can we join this body, International Union of Biochemistry, and the one that is the body that is locally also in Nigeria? How do we go about joining the body? That is the first question. Then the second one.
The good news is you're all members. If you're members of the Nigerian, Biochemical Society, you're automatically a member of the IUBMB. You don't need to pay anything more or do anything. You're all members of the IUBMB.
I'm not yet a member of the Nigeria Society of.
Can you get to the website of NSBMB and register as a member? Once you're a member of NSBMB, you're automatically a member of IUBMB.
Okay, thank you.
I think you need to be a member of the local organization to be a member of the of IUBMB.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And you should
practice. At this point, we need to give the microphone to Dr. Bayo Adioye Olufosho. Please, you have the floor, sir. Kindly unmute and speak to us.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I just want to quickly react to the comments made by Mr. Rotimi Fasimoye. Mr. Rotimi, I'm delighted to register this opinion that we have a research team here at Babcock University in Nigeria that I've just started to research on to look into Parkinson's disease. And in fact, 2 days ago, I personally undertook a particular study, a computational approach, and what we think we should maybe a potential Nigerian herbal medicine to see what it can do along the pathway, the pathogenesis of Parkinson's disease. So it might be a player, maybe it's really going to be a player linking up with you and assisting you on your ideas. So I'll appreciate it if you can drop your contacts, and then I'll pick it up from there and surely link with you. Thank you so much.
I can put my email on, and I'm delighted to talk to you more about this. This is my main area of research now, is Parkinson's disease, and there's a lot of opportunities worldwide in this in this field.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the comments and questions. Just if any other person that want to ask question. YD, please, I don't understand your full name. You have the floor, YD. YD, kindly unmute and speak to us. Messi, you need to ask a question.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Mine is more of a comment alongside a question also, Prof. Yeah, one of the speakers that asked a question actually made comments as regards reagents and all of that. But personally, I've observed that one of the problems we have is not just the issue of reagents, but having equipment to actually work with. Specifically, I would like you to know, Prof, sir, that we're having issues locating research institutes with LCMS machine in Nigeria. I've been trying to make inquiry, but it's a hurdle. So I don't know what assistance you have to offer us in this regard, sir. Thank you, sir.
No, that's it's critical that you have access to the equipment as well as the reagents, and otherwise you can't do your research. And
exactly, sir.
You know, so it's a serious problem. If you, I mean, what's needed is for your government to probably invest in centers of excellence, you know, to provide every university can't have every piece of equipment. Even here, you know, we often have to collaborate with other people for different, but you know, it's important that you can all researchers can access the equipment that's needed for, you know, for their research. And yes, if you can't access it locally, then maybe developing an international collaboration with other researchers with similar interests as yours, you know, could be one way to do that. And maybe you could apply for an IUBMB fellowship to go and work for 6 months in an overseas lab who has this technology available, and do your research there. But I don't have an obvious solution. It's a matter of investment, I think, from your government.
All right, thank you very much. We need to give Egba Frank the opportunity to ask his question. Egba Frank, please, you have the floor. Kindly unmute your device and speak to us.
Yes, hello, good evening, everyone.
I'm
Frank. You. Yes, I'm a biochemistry student. Yes, so my question is, mostly from my experience from the IT, although some have already spoken a little on it. So biochemistry in and of itself is isn't like a niche particular area. So we are like a jack of all trades.
Yes.
Where your network is breaking, can hardly hear you.
Really relevant in today's world, because in different areas you're mentioning we can go into. Okay, sorry. I'm saying in different areas you mentioned we could go into, there are actually specialized individuals in that area. Like you mentioned, you can do a biochemistry degree, then later specialize in pharmacology, or there's a pharmacist there or something. So could you kindly speak more on that?
Yes, so for me, yes, I think it's, every building has a foundation that is built on. If you don't have a good foundation, the building falls down. And for me, biochemistry is a foundation, and molecular biology is everyone doing life sciences, medicine, working in industries should have a foundation in that. And then once you have that foundation, then it's good to specialize. If you're interested in pharmacology, industry, manufacturing, agricultural, gene editing, you then build upon that. So, so I think, yes, so I think biochemistry and molecular biology is needed for you to understand, to be good scientists, for more specialized scientists. And obviously some of the research I do is extremely specialized, but I understand the work that I'm doing, and I understand other people's work through the common language of biochemistry and molecular biology. So yeah, it really pains me to I mean, it seems like almost Nigerian biochemists are being persecuted and prevented, from working in some industries. That makes no sense. It makes absolutely no scientific sense for this. And I don't think that the people making the decisions understand what they're and then the thing, if you don't have good employment opportunities, for biochemists, then no one's going to take biochemistry. The clever people won't do biochemistry because there's not going to be very many employment opportunities afterwards. And so you might lose a lot of talent in this area. And then if you haven't got the talent in this area, you're not going to have the future leaders that you need in this field to develop and grow and take and take the opportunities. So it's a very serious problem, this, and I think it's important that you get this problem fixed.
All right, thank you very much, Professor Daire Alisi. We still have one more question. Emmanuel Udo, please, you have the floor. Kindly unmute your device and speak to us. Emmanuel, can you hear us? Okay, we have John Olufo Oluwafemi.
Okay, hello, can you hear me? My name is John.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
I just want to make a comment concerning what everyone has said concerning the role of the IUBMB, because personally, I've been one of the persons that has benefited from what the IUBMB is doing, because we all know the issue of no access to machines or equipment and reagents. And during the course of my PhD, which is still ongoing, I've been able to access the Wood-Williams Research Fellowship, and then to be able to visit Dairo's lab in the course of this my PhD. And this has helped me to expose me to training. And this has also given me the opportunity to be able to learn more about the field of research I'm working on. So if young scientists, young PhD graduate students can also access this opportunity, there's no bias, just prepare a good application, apply, and then most likely you will get it. So I just want to encourage everyone to apply for the fellowship that the IUBMB has. There's no bias in selection, and I've seen that. And the second point is the fact that the IUBMB is very open and they are receptive. For example, during the course of the Global Biochemistry Summit that happened last year, I was able to interact with the management or the leadership of the IUBMB. And with this interaction, together with another doctor colleague, that led to the creation of two initiatives, the IUBMB ProLab Fellowship, and then the IUBMB initiative for the Enable conference. So they were open to ideas. And I know that once we follow up on all of these ideas by the NSBS that is being raised now, execution of it will happen in no limited time. And thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you,
All
John.
right, thank you very much for John for that reiteration and letting the Nigerians know that IUBMB is very, very open to the public and open to opportunity and collaboration. I'm really glad that we have testifiers and beneficiaries in the house to really attest to what the professor has already pre-informed us before now. At this point, I still need to give the microphone. We still have some couple of minutes before we call it a day. I give the microphone to Emmanuel Udo. Are you ready now to talk? If Emmanuel Udo is not ready, I give the microphone to Emmanuel Udo. Are you ready now? Okay, I give the microphone to Amadou Taufik. Amadou Taufik, you have the floor.
Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, we can hear you.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation. My question is that as a biochemistry undergraduate student who is about to graduate, so I need to know some laboratory or organizations where I can volunteer to work, maybe to learn as an intern student or as a fresh graduate. So organizations where I can volunteer to work before I begin my MSc, or possible researchers or supervisors who can mentor the students who are IUBMB members, who can mentor students. Because personally, I'm not interested in Parkinson, but I'm interested in diabetes, obesity, and cardiovascular diseases. So I need to know some supervisors or researchers, how I can get in touch with them, who can mentor me as a fresh graduate. Thank you.
Yes, so that's that can be quite difficult, you know. Yes, so I appreciate that. You know, is to find out who are the people you can write to and to get information from. So you know, my recommendation would be to obviously, if you have some professors or doctors in your university who are experts in this field, you can talk to them first to ask them, do they have any contacts in this area who can help you. You can also read literature. You can read some papers in this area. For example, if I was working on diabetes and obesity now, I would want to work in this GLP-1, you know, agonist area. I think this is just I don't work in this area, but I just think it's an incredible field. So I would look to see who are the key players working in this field. Maybe some of the companies like Novo Nordisk, that are now the richest company in Europe, maybe they'll offer fellowships and things for Africans, because they've got so much money now from this drug that they might be keen to, you know, to African science and support training in this. So you could write. So if I was you, I would do some research, maybe get a list of 20, 30 people to write to, and write careful letters to each person. And then you might get someone writing back to you saying, do you want to come to my lab for 6 months or something like that to help you? I mean, that could be possible.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for that response. Adewale, am I correct? Adewale Omowumi.
Yes.
I think I've seen your hand.
Yes,
So
doctor.
please, you have the floor now. Yeah, please go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Prof, for the presentation. Though I joined late because I didn't hear on time. Thank you. My question is about my own research. I'm into cancer research, but I find it very difficult to carry out cutting-edge research on this specialization. The reason being that I don't have exact
You lost your network,
models.
can't hear you anymore.
You can't hear me?
I can
Hope
hear
you can
you.
still hear us.
I can hear you.
I can
We
hear
can
you.
hear her,
Wow.
sir. We can hear her.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much.
So we lost that.
So
Maybe when you reconnect, you can let
We
us hear
can
you.
hear
they
her.
can
Okay,
hear me. They are
Loretta,
hearing me.
you asked a question on the chat
Hello?
box. Can you just say it
We
directly?
can hear.
Loretta,
We
please.
can hear her, Doc.
Loretta Kumasi,
Audible.
Hello?
please, you have the floor to
Wow.
ask your questions directly.
Hello, you're talking about cancer research and you found it difficult.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I find it difficult to get exact models for the research. And the cell lines that I would have loved to use, we don't have functional cell culture lab in Nigeria. The only one I know of is in UCH and it's not accessible. So I end up using carcinogens to induce rats, and it has not been so easy. I don't know what help you can render in this regard. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, no, it's a very serious. I mean, a tissue culture incubator is and medium is very basic for for research, and without that, it's hard to envisage doing research. And yeah, no. So I mean, obviously you need this equipment to do your research. Otherwise, you can't do the cellular and biochemical analysis, and then doing all the work with mice isn't always ideal. So it's yeah, no. I think this is I don't know if I have any quick answer for you regarding this. I think it's essential that you try and find a solution, or try and I think there's also organizations who take old equipment and send them to Africa, I think, as well. Maybe you can arrange to try to get an incubator, but yeah, no. This is a very big problem, and I don't know what the solution is.
Okay, thank you for your honest
It's hard to
comment.
work in an area where you don't have the equipment that you need to work in this area. I think this is a serious problem.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right, thank you very much. It's been a long day today, and we've done much today. We'll be rounding up at this point. Okay, I just want to give opportunity to Dr. Bintu Mofio. Please, Dr. Bintu, you have the floor. That will be the last question we'll be taking for this segment.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Professor Dasif Alessi, for the insightful lecture. And then the organizers, thank you very much. We learned a lot, and we are going to do our best to see that our students scale through. Some of the issues has been discussed, but one of the issues that is disturbing is actually we all know that chemical structures, the vocabulary of biochemistry. So in that regard, we need to do researches in elucidating the chemical structures of compounds and other things. But due to this lack of facilities, we don't have basic research facilities here at the university. I'm in the University of Abuja here. And then so we need also assistance, and at the same time, training for some of the staff to get developed is also another challenge, because nowadays nobody sponsors conferences. So it's very hard for us even to attend conferences and even update ourselves. So that is one of our major challenges. If we can have assistance through the IUBMB. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And good evening to everyone.
I think we do give, yes, we do give money for people to host conferences. We spend. I should have mentioned this better in my talk. So we have various schemes to It's on our website, but you can also, if you send me an email, I can also put you in touch with you know the executive committee member who deals with the conferences. But we spend a large percentage of our budget on fellowships, and then also the other percentage of our budget on organizing conferences and all over the world. So there's a few times a year you can put in a bid to organize a conference, and we have very few bids. I think since I've been in this committee from Africa. So you know that could be an opportunity to arrange an international meeting in Nigeria with you know, inviting some experts from overseas to attend your meeting, and they will give you funding for that. And obviously it'll be a fantastic forum for the students to come and meet lots of speakers in your area of research.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you very much, everyone, for being a part of today's webinar. We're already 10 minutes behind schedule. At this point, I just want to give 30 seconds so the National Secretary of NSBMB, representing the Nigeria Society of Biochemistry, representing the President of NSBMB, who is unavoidably absent. At the moment, he's attending a different function in Benin. So Professor Abubakar Yakubu, the National Secretary of NSBMB, please kindly give us a vote of thanks on behalf of the National President, Professor Webo Mantio, who is not around. Professor Abubakar, please, you have the floor, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, the presenter and the Professor Okodua, for this wonderful presentation. The National President of Nigerian Society of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology is inevitably absent. He is away right now in University of Benin, where he's attending an inaugural lecture of one of our esteemed members. And he asked me to convey his goodwill to all to the presenter, the organizer, and everybody that is on this platform right now. Nigerian Society of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology is doing all its possible best to see that biochemistry and molecular biology is brought to limelight, that all the complaint led, by the grace of God, we are attending to them, and by the grace of very soon we shall get out of the problem. We encourage all our members to register with us, and by the grace of God, as soon as you register, you have been assured to be an automatic member of IUBMB. Thank you very much, the presenter. We really appreciate you. We really enjoy your presentation. And we say kudos to Southwest Zone for packaging this wonderful presenting. Thank you all. We wish you all the best.
Yeah, thank you very much for this one. On a closing note, I want to thank everybody for being a part of today's seminar. And we really appreciate all the time and efforts you put in place to make sure everything went well as far as this program is concerned. We more specifically, I want to really thank the IUBMB President, Professor Dario Alisi, for finding time out of his busy schedule to really have time to come and address these particular issues with us in Nigeria. And we hope next time when we call on him, he will be available to attend to us in so many other places, except for those that want to start applying for fellowship programs henceforth, and those that want to be engaged in one form of collaboration or the other. I'm sure this is an opportunity that will bring about long-lasting collaboration and networking. Once again, I say thank you very much. And on this note, we wish to draw this seminar to a close, even as we call on the moderator for the national item. We need to take the national item so that we can
All right, can we
Okay,
have
we
the
need to-
national anthem projected? Let's take
Okay,
the national
let's-
anthem together as we have it projected on the screen.
With love and strength and faith, the name of our heroes shall never be vain.
With heart and mind,
On nation bound in freedom, peace and
Thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you, Professor Dario Haliso. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Wishing you the best in your career, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the day, please.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Lafiya, Dr. Abdullahi. Ya kake?
Lafiya
Kin
lau.
message.
Yaya yau?
Lafiya lau, sir. Lafiya.
Kin ga yi sosai.
Prof bai samu zuwa ba, masha Allah.
Bai samu zuwa, ina ne yanzu.
Okay. Sannu. Well done, sir.
Sannu
Well
ne.
done.
Yawa.
Well
Thank
done,
you.
sir. Masha Allah.
Allah.
Bye-bye, ma'assalam.
Bye. Bisalam. I'm here to hear from you people anyway.
Bari mu shi jala taro. Shi mu shi ata collection.
Beteni text aku pencatatan.
Good evening, Dr. Abubakar.
Yeah.